You gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night on the eve of players returning to training camp. Where else would you rather be, Steelers fans? We're not even that far past 9 p.m. We're almost on time. And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's it going tonight?
You know what, Dave? It's going okay. It's been interesting to see some chatter around the NFL as some teams were rolling into camp today, but I'm most excited about the Steelers rolling into camp tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because I even had to, a couple of times, I'm not a big commenter on X, Twitter, or whatever. I don't like to get into a lot of different things now. I'll probably ramp it up more as the season gets on. But I don't know if it was Schefter or Rappaport or one of those guys had said something about, and all teams will be in camp by Tuesday. I'm like, Wednesday. There's two teams that aren't reporting to Wednesday. The Steelers are one of them. I don't remember who the other team is, and honestly, I don't care. Because to me, it's all about the Steelers. They are reporting to St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which actually isn't Latrobe. It's actually next to Latrobe. Is where it is.
I can't Latrobe remember. Airport, so I'd still call it Latrobe.
Yes, I just can't remember what. There's actually a little bit of a name where the actual college is, and I don't remember what it is. So that's just that's just how it is. What's going on, and that's it. It's coming. It's tomorrow. Rich, we've made it. I still haven't done my last post on X of the 40s Day Steelers Fast. I'll do it here after the show to just say, you know what? We made it. We had 40 days of nothing with Steelers from the day after mandatory minicamp to the day before the Steelers report. And this is that day.
But did
that day.
Really have nothing with Steelers during that time?
No, no, we did. I mean, nothing on the field. Nothing on the field. That's what I should say. We had plenty of stuff. I'm trying to remember. When was the TJ Watt? That was Thursday. Right. So we haven't talked since then. So I'm going to give you we've got our traditional last top 5 before training camp starts coming up tonight. This is our top 5 camp darlings. People that fans are going to fall in love with. We'll give you the criteria for that here before we get it started, but we'll dive into that shortly. But Rich, because it was the biggest news of the 40 days. Well, I don't know. Was it the biggest news?
No, it was not.
Was the trade the biggest news, or was the TJ Watt the biggest news? I would say the trade was the biggest news.
The trade was the biggest news.
And then the second biggest news was TJ Watt. What was your thoughts on the TJ Watt signing?
Actually, was almost a little bit surprised. I thought that maybe the Steelers had it in their back pocket that this deal wasn't going to get done as early as it did. Although that deal getting done as early as it did, getting done before camp starts tells me one thing that makes me very happy. TJ Watt is coming into camp 100%.
Yeah.
My thought is if he wasn't coming into camp 100%, they would have told him, hey, let's nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Let's do this little hold in thing like you did for a while. Let you continue to rehab and get up to 100%. Before we would even think about doing anything, and have TJ's famous hold in thing as a way to, what do you want to say, draw the attention away from the fact that maybe he wasn't 100%. But the fact now that he's there tells me physically he is 100% and ready to go.
But I will also tell you this, dude's gonna get a lot of days off too.
Oh yeah,
him and Cam. You're going to see them not a lot. But it's a whole different story when you're resting a guy versus where like, oh, is there something going on? Is something going down and everything else? I'll tell you this, that I don't know if I've actually said this, but I've thought it so many times. I'm not shocked that this was done before training camp. I always felt it was a possibility with Omar Khan. I just didn't know that it definitely would. I didn't know how big the sticking points were going to be. But I like that it wasn't the whole 4 year extension for the 5 years to max out the signing bonus. And the Steelers, I mean, they could have saved a little bit more on this year's salary cap if they needed to. They didn't even, he's not even getting minimum base pay. It's a $4 million base salary this year, right? Not 1.255. They could have taken that extra money, popped it into the signing bonus, and spread it out into those other years a little bit, but they didn't because they saved just over $7 million, and they're good. And I know a lot of people are like, well, does this mean they're signing this or signing that or whatever? The answer is they have the option. Absolutely, they can. That's a nice thing. How many times have we as Steelers fans, where you and I want to say with what money all the time? That seems the way that they always had it worked is with what money. They don't have to say that. They have the space. But at the same time, they don't have to spend it. They could roll it into next year, which would also be helpful as well. So you have the ability, but you don't necessarily aren't forced to have to say, oh, you need to spend more money. Okay. So to me, I think it's great that it's happened early. Omar Khan has not been the kind of guy that's let this stuff drag out. I know it's funny because last year, the Pat Freiermuth was later. The Cam deal was later because people just thought he was just so far along. They were just going to let him go for the last year, and that would have been okay. And they're like, no. It's almost like they wanted to get through camp and make sure he was good and then say, okay, here's your deal. It's almost like saying, let's test this out and see, making some smart moves with it. Because if they'd have given Cam that extension before training camp, with him coming off being injured the year before, probably would have been a lot more questions with it. So when you think about that sometimes the timing of it's pretty smart.
Correct. And back to what you're talking about with the salary cap, okay? The Steelers have the availability to go and spend that money. Yeah. But it's not a necessity.
Yeah. You have it if the right thing comes across, but you don't have to say, we really need something. We're going to overpay this person to do this job. I don't think that's how they're operating right now. So I also find it interesting that because the TJ Watt deal, not only does it help the Steelers, it kind of screws the Bengals a little bit. I wish Marky D, I haven't seen him in the live chat yet. I'm sure he would love that. How much it, that it is messing up stuff with Trey Hendrickson. It's not even in the same state as the Bengals who were there today, I don't know if they reported or practiced it. I can't even remember because it's not the Steelers, so I don't really care.
That's right.
I just, once again, people were, first it was Myles Garrett, then it was Micah Parsons. Now it's talking about, Trey Hendrickson and wanting to compare him to TJ Watt. And it's so funny to watch these people that want to talk about. I had to address this last offseason. I can't remember if you and I did or if I might have done it with Pittsburgh Standard Time. That try to say that pressures are more important than sacks.
We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, pressures are important. They're just not more important.
Yeah. Because a sack is a pressure.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's
actually, did we talk about this? All sacks are pressure, but all pressures aren't sacks. It's
and it's the whole notion of they're like, oh, well, when you get pressure, that can cause the quarterback to make an errant throw, and it could cause a turnover. But you want to know what else a pressure could do? It can end in a touchdown.
Yes,
because those NFL quarterbacks are pretty good, and sometimes under pressure, they can still deliver the ball, and the player can still find the touchdown zone. But you want to know what? But you want to know what can end in a touchdown for the offense,
or has a extremely, extremely, extremely small chance of ending in a touchdown.
You're right, because technically the quarterback could fumble, and the offense could pick it up and run it back. But
Correct.
it would. I mean, but a sack, a sack. So that's why I said it's kind of like people that want to argue that triples are better than home runs. Well, you're not getting all those players, and the player's still there, and it's likely he's going to score. Yeah, it's likely he could score, but you know what? On a home run,
He does score.
he does. So, triples are still pretty nice too. So there we go. So that's some news. And honestly, we're going to bring this up. I'm going to throw this because I was going to ask one more question before we get in our list because we don't want to take too long with this. And it's Scho Bros. What do you think about the Steelers throwback uniforms for 2025? Rich?
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're nothing spectacular, but they're not awful either. It's just
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I know Jeff was saying how the more he looks at them, the less he likes them. I find it odd, and I didn't realize this at first. I've always liked the jerseys, like the practice jerseys that you could get that are the gold with the black numbers and names. Brian Anthony Davis got me one from China of TJ Watt. And the problem is when you get them from China, they're about 4 sizes too small. So therefore, where is that jersey?
in my wife's closet.
I was going to say it's somewhere in your house.
Yep, it's in my
That's
wife's
where I
closet.
passed it on to. And I like those gold jerseys with the black numbers. And you know what? The back of these jerseys are exactly that. I just find it odd that the numbers on the front are one color and the numbers on the back are a different color. But the way they did it, you wouldn't be able to see them otherwise. I don't know why they didn't just put the stripes on the back.
I don't know.
So, but
Don't know,
I mean,
doesn't
I'm
matter.
not going to complain.
Come on, there's only one jersey I really liked, and that was the Bumblebees.
Yeah, some people hated the Bumblebee. I love the Bumblebee.
I know, but I loved the
But-
Bumblebees.
Here's the thing that bothers me with this throwback. I'm going to put it out there. Okay, like the jersey, like the gold helmet. I think that's pretty nifty. But this wasn't a true throwback. It was retro inspired. It's not the exact uniform from any one year. This was their chance to correct the problem with the Bumblebee uniforms. And instead of having the dirty baby diaper colored pants, they could have just gone with black pants. I don't like the khaki colored pants.
You don't like the gold pants?
Well, they're not gold.
Yes, they are.
Oh, you
They-
mean that they're like Notre
they're-
Dame gold?
They are. They are the. I'm sure Coach Tomlin had some input, and he went with those pants because
They're brown. I'm sorry. They're
that's
brown.
William and Mary pants.
No, they're brown.
They're
You
gold.
could say they're gold. I mean, they're brown.
No, they're true gold, not Steelers.
No, they're brown.
Not Steelers black and gold.
No.
They're gold.
They're brown.
And I'm not. I'm not a huge fan because they don't
No.
match
No.
the shirt.
I think it would have looked great with black pants with a gold stripe down the side. Or vice versa. Well, I would say no, not gold pants with that because the back was pure gold. I think they'd look better with black pants. That's just me. That's not overly important. Anything else news-wise? Can we dive into this list?
I got one thing outside of Steelers news wise I do want to bring up. Hey, everybody, if you could do me a favor and be thinking of my son, hashtag pay Kyle.
Yep.
He had his wisdom teeth cut out today. So
Did you take any cool videos of him coming out of the anesthesia like people do?
no, partly because they didn't have. He was never under fully. I
Oh,
don't
really?
think because he said to me, he said, "Dad, you had the same music I did, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Did they play American Pie?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." I turned to them when that came on and said, "Is this American Pie by Don McLean?" And they were like, "Yes, but we need you to stop talking." He says, "Oh, sorry. It's just a really good song."
Well, that's kind of like me when I had mine out back in 1996. I'm like, I can still remember the doctor talking and things like that. Where
Just
I'm
out of
like, was I
curiosity, what doctor
fully
took
aware?
yours out in 1996?
What's that?
What doctor took yours out in 1996?
I don't know. Whoever the same ones that took yours out.
Okay, because it's the same one that took Kyle's out.
Oh, really? Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's crazy. So, yeah, your daughter who was at my house earlier today and is at your house now, had told me that was going on. So I was thinking about Kyle today when that was
Yeah,
happening.
he was a little loopy coming out, but not good enough for a video. Oh, trust me, if he'd have been good enough for a video, I'd have taken it.
Because those are fun. All right. Speaking of fun, we've got to get to our topic, which it'll be interesting to see how our 5 go out. I know. You know what? I did this over the weekend, so I had more time to think about it. And then once I did it, I kind of forgot about it. So I looked at it again before the show, and I'm like, I feel like I'm probably forgetting a big one here. But
I did mine right before the show.
Yeah.
I'm scrambling, and my list probably sucks. So,
well, and honestly, I was saying right before we hit record, which it's funny because, actually we hit go live, because the music started and then it stopped and then had to start again. But I don't think anyone was here to hear it. And for those of you in the audio forum, I'll probably be able to cut that out. You heard it. And I'm sitting there right before we did that, and I'm like, if we don't have any of the same players, that's okay too. So let's get to our criteria. I'm going to remember what it is the best I can, and if it messes you up, you got to tell me how we got to tweak it. Okay?
Okay. Tell me. Oh, gee whiz.
Okay.
Okay. Go
well,
ahead.
because Camp Darlings, these are supposed to be players that, well, of course, they're not starters from previous years. You can't be someone that was a starter from previous years. And you can't be somebody, I was going to say a day 1 or day 2 draft pick. I thought in the past we said 4th round. It couldn't be 4th round. It had to be later than that. I'm okay 4th round either way.
Yeah, I was always thought it was not a day 1 or day 2.
Yes, okay, good. Because now that I look at mine, I'm like, then I'm going to have to change something. If not. So it's not day 1 or day 2 pick.
Correct.
Actually, I wouldn't have to change it because, yeah, I didn't. It wouldn't. I avoided the 4th round. I was thinking back at something and I thought wrong. So a lot of times these are, they could be undrafted guys, late round draft picks. It could even be someone who's been with the Steelers for more than a year, but was not a significant contributor the previous year. I actually have last year's, if I can find it here real quick. If you wanted me to remind you who we had, as I said, I have the last 2 years. Let's do the last 2 years real quick because this is fun. Because there's going to be names on here that we don't even remember.
Yeah.
You ready? Okay, so from 2 years ago this time in 2023, my counting down 5 to 1, mine went Jordan Byrd, David Perales, Alfonso Graham, Calvin Austin III, and Corey Trice. Yours went Chris Wilcox, Calvin Austin III, Hakeem Butler, Jordan Byrd, and Corey Trice. Last year, okay, there was a few days there, like I'm like, Jordan Byrd, was he like a running back / kick returner or something like that? I can't even remember because he didn't last.
I don't know. I was wondering if he was Larry's brother.
At all. Yeah. It's BYRD, just so you know. Then last year, my top 5 was Jack Coletto, Darius Rush, who didn't even make it through the preseason, John Rice Plumlee, Corey Trice, and Beanie Bishop. Corey Trice ended up on there again because he had been injured his old rookie year. And yours was Logan Lee, David Perales, Joey Fisher, Corey Trice, and Beanie Bishop. So there we go.
There we go.
There we go. So there we go. So like right here, this is not Camp Phenom. This is Camp Darling. This means it's going to be endeared by fans. Camp Phenom has a lot to do with how they're playing on the field. Camp Darling has to do not just with how they're doing the field, but how the fans are doing that. Because right here, we got Russ
really
saying
behind a root for. They can be the same, but they don't have to be the same.
Yeah, but he's saying his Camp Phenom is Caleb Johnson. Well, first of all, we're not, like I said, we're doing Darling. They can be. But he doesn't count because he's the 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So not eligible. So just remember that whenever we go to do all these. All right. So
Yes,
we've got people want to throw names out there. Guess what? I wish we had the timeout feature because you're all jumping the gun because we know what's coming at the end of the show. So be ready for it. So Rich, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to take our break right now so that way we can roll through all 5. How does that
Okay.
sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so we're going to go ahead, take a break, come back, and roll through it. So stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry. Relax, relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't.
Once again, our music just is not working right on her side. It just cut off. But that's all right. We're back, aren't we, bro? Okay, this is getting frustrating that we're having.
I have fun watching
some
you
of
get
these.
flustered when things don't go as planned.
Yep, but yeah. So here we go. Rich, here we go. Start at number 5. Who you got? Number 5,
All right.
Cam Phenom.
Number 5, wide receiver, Rock Taylor.
Wide receiver, Rock Taylor. All right, why do you got Rock Taylor going there?
Well, 2 reasons. A, we know after the trade of George Pickens, a lot has been said about the wide receiver room, what's going on. So everybody's going to be looking at those young wide receivers to see who might be good enough to get in and make this team and be able to make a contribution. So I think that someone like Rock Taylor has a chance to potentially impress, get fans behind him, and next thing you know, he's on the 53.
Gotcha. Yeah, and remember, this doesn't have to be someone making the 53. This could just.
I know.
It doesn't have to be, but boy, that's going to help. It's going to be.
But
yeah.
See, I look at it as the Kim Darling. Sometimes that's a springboard for some of these guys.
Exactly.
To potentially get on the roster.
You're right.
Or get noticed and be on the practice squad and be that guy that's being elevated off the practice squad. Kind of thing.
Rich,
Yeah.
I knew you knew that. I was just making sure our listeners did. That was all. Yeah, I knew you had that. I'll talk about Rock Taylor a bit more later.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go with my number 5. My
Okay.
number 5 was actually someone who was on your list last year. I'm going with defensive tackle Logan Lee because he ended up on IR almost the whole season. He was designated to return, but didn't return. I mean, he practiced, but he didn't actually come back to be put on the 53. So and the reason I think so is that apparently he's really coming on, looked well in the spring. My thing is, the reason I have him all down at 5 and not higher is because he's in the same position group as the Steelers' first-round draft pick, and therefore I think the buzz is going to be more around Derek Harmon. But Logan Lee, he could be more one of those quieter guys. That's why I have him lower on the list, but I still wanted to include him.
And that's why I ultimately left him off my list this year. Was because
For
of the
the reason I
position
said.
being the same as the number 1 draft pick.
There you go. All right, Rich, let's roll on to number 4.
All right, so my number 4 has a lot in common with the number 5. So you're going to understand why they're both there. This time I'm going with another wide receiver. This one is Montana Lemonius Craig.
I'm just going to call him LC. Montana.
Montana
Okay.
LC. Okay. And again, it's really, as I got to looking through the stuff, I was like, what one of these two guys stands a good chance to be at Camp Darling mainly because of the position.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make a decision between the two of them, so I just put them both on.
And now I see why you put them further down your list because you had 2 of
Correct.
them.
Yes.
He's the one that made it from rookie minicamp?
I believe so,
I'm not
yes.
sure. Or was that someone else?
No, I'm pretty sure that was
Okay. All right. Sometimes with these
he's-
guys, it's
so he's,
hard to
he's
remember.
already been out there and impressed a little bit, and that's
Yes.
a good thing.
Yep. Yeah. I did not have him. I will tell you that. I only did one
I'm
wide
telling
receiver.
you though, I just, to me, I felt that with what's going on in the receiver room, that the fans in particular are going to be looking a lot at the receiver. So I thought there's a good chance that a wide receiver might do it. So I stuck 2 on there.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I didn't do 2 wide receivers, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. All right, my number 4.
Yep.
This is someone that you could have very well put higher, and I'm going to say why I didn't put higher. but it's 6th-round draft pick quarterback Will Howard. Because, I mean, if you think about it, he could have been drafted higher, but he wasn't. The Steelers got him in a really nice spot. And Steelers fans are going to be intrigued by him because some of them still think he can be the answer for the Steelers for the future. And I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't think that that's what the Steelers are going to be looking for in training camp. But I think Steelers fans are going to want to see him a whole bunch. But I think the biggest thing, one of the good things going for him is I think the Steelers are going to not have Aaron Rodgers playing all the time. I think he'll have a very similar schedule to Ben Roethlisberger. It'll be like a full day, a partial day, and no day. It's kind of, they might do that as a specific rotation or something similar. But to me, so I think he'll get some opportunities. And I think Steelers fans will like him. And I think they're going to really want to see him in the preseason. But at the same time, he's not the only player that's going to be hyped about at that position.
Correct. And you said a lot of good things about that. And I will tell you right now, I did not put him on my list. He was considered for my list. Mm-hmm. But I left him off my list because even though he could become a camp darling, I'm worried about how much time he could see on the field, especially in the regular season. If we're seeing Will Howard in the regular season, either A, it's not going well for the Steelers, or B, Aaron Rodgers got clocked.
True. But my thing is, you're going to see fans that are clamoring to talk about him during training camp, which is what would make him a camp darling. So that's why I had him on my list at number 4. All right, Rich, what do you got at number 3?
All right, number 3 is why I needed that 4th round to stay there, because I went with 4th round draft pick Jack Sawyer. Okay, because honestly, there's just a lot to love about this guy. This guy and his motor and his attitude might be one of the closest things to Jack Lambert I've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. And tell me that Steeler fans won't love that kind of guy.
And he should get to play a lot in the preseason.
Yes, he should.
Yeah. So
and so I'd have put him higher but he was that 4th round draft pick. So you do expect a little more from that. But at the same time, I'm like, again, for me, it's just his whole attitude and the way he goes about doing his work really fits the Steeler mold.
Yeah, and honestly, he'll become a camp darling, but it's going to be all performance-based. If you hear him, making stops or things like that on 7 shots, things of that nature, then when you come around to the first preseason game, if he makes any kind of splash plays there, then you're going to hear a lot of chatter about him.
Yeah.
But it's really going to be, but if you don't see a ton out of him or hear his name a lot from reports from training camp, I could see him also being someone that just kind of gets, he's going to be around, he's going to make the team, but he might not get the hype otherwise. I did not include him because I was not doing 4th round picks. Yeah. But I was okay whether we included them or not because we didn't talk about that before we made our lists like we should have. So my number 3 is interesting because this is where I went with two positions.
Okay.
And I went with, instead of 4th round draft pick, I went with 5th round draft pick Y.A. Black. And the reason that I went there, even though it's another defensive lineman, is because Steelers fans are obsessed with the nose tackle position. I don't know that the Steelers are going to have him in the nose tackle position, but I think you're going to get a lot of people talking about what he could do at the nose tackle position.
Right. I get it. Understand it. And I'll talk more about him later.
So you ready to move on to number 2?
Yep, number 2. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I went with, I double dipped again. Linebacker, Carson Bruner.
Okay.
Why do it? Now, of course, Dave, why do I go with...
I mean, one's an
linebacker?
inside, one's an outside, so...
But why would I put Carson Bruner out there?
Well, one, he should get a lot of playing time in the preseason.
Yep.
And he's going to be a guy that he's a high effort guy. He's a cerebral player. And he's got the legacy name.
There you go. And the legacy name means a lot because every time he does something or something like that, there's going to be extra talk there because there's, because of the legacy there. So I could see why all he's going to need to do is start to make a few plays here or there, and people are going to talk about it a lot. And they're going to be like, well, yeah, oh, look at that athletic move. Well, he got good genes,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I considered him, but I didn't put him on my list.
That's okay. I can understand.
I did consider him, but I went with it was between him and Logan Lee, and I went with Logan Lee.
I got you.
But no, I could definitely see that. But once again, he's a lot like a Jack Sawyer. If you hear his name a lot in drills, in 11-11, on 7 shots,
Yep.
All you have to do is just hear that he's making a tackle. It could be a tackle 10 yards down the field where he just sticks with it and makes sure he gets the guy. Then Steelers fans are going to talk and everything else. Yeah, I think there's going to be plenty of chatter about him. So I'm going to go on to my number 2. My number 2 you've already mentioned, and I went with wide receiver Rock Taylor. Now, here's a couple things here. Steelers fans, a lot of them are already talking. Remember, I already picked on someone in the live chat. Oh my goodness, that was back. I think it was back during OTAs that they said, "Bring on Rock Taylor. Forget about Roman Wilson. He's had his chance," which we kind of laughed out of the building. I apologize to him later because I shouldn't have been that mean. But I'm like, no, it's not about that. But that's how much hype some people are having about Rock Taylor. The problem is he healthy? There is a question as to whether or not he's healthy. I would not be shocked if at this time tomorrow we might not hear too much more talk about Rock Taylor for a while. It wouldn't shock me if he started on PUP. Because he was coming off injury and stuff. Then the way they were working him at OTAs, they said looked like a player coming back from injury. But if that's the case with him, every day he's not there is a problem. We saw what happened with Roman Wilson last year. So hopefully he's there and hopefully he's performing. And the biggest reason I had him is that high as number 2, which I get why, because you did 2 wide receivers, you dropped them low. To me, it's because of being a position where the Steelers have an opportunity for someone else to get in there. That's why. Have you already said your piece for Rock Taylor?
I kind of said my piece for Rock Taylor, and I totally get why you put him there. Because if I'd have only gone with one of the 2 wide receivers, I'd have probably moved it up a little higher. But I kept them back because I double dipped, which is why then you see I double dipped again, and they were down, which is why my number 1 is.
Wait, hold on. Run us down from your number 5 on down.
All right.
To review it.
All right. So for me, number 5, Rock Taylor. Number 4, Montana LC, as Dave was going to say. Number 3, Jack Sawyer. Number 2, Carson Bruner. And number 1 on Big Bro Scho's Cam Darling list. I should do this like in my Pittsburgh dad voice. And mess up because, we'll mess it.
No one's getting the name right.
I'll mess his name up all year. Well, we'll just that old Hey Ya Black.
Hey, yeah. Yeah. Yes. I know Jim Wexler was saying it's YA, like YA Tittle, but it's YA Black. I don't know if that's right or not, but we're going to go with it. So,
right.
so I had him at number 3. So go ahead and tell me why you had him at number 1.
Because he's a very large man. And who doesn't love a large man? all it's going to take for him to become a bit of a camp darling is to be a very large man, make a couple of an athletic move or play here or there, and people will fall in love.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Dave, that's why people liked you when you played football. All it took was seeing a guy that big be able to do a few of the things you could do, and it was like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. If only I was meaner, maybe I could have done something. So
if we'd have taken my drive and put it in your body, we'd have had an NFL left tackle.
It wasn't drive. It was, my biggest problem was meanness. I just didn't want to go out, just get all fired up and rip somebody's head off. That just wasn't me. But yeah, I was at, I was maybe too much Dan McCullers, if you know what I mean, and not enough YA Black.
Dave, you need to visualize.
Yeah.
You need to visualize.
All right. I'm going to count mine now. You did not have my number one person at all.
Okay.
Okay. Because I went with something because I think it makes a whole lot of sense. But I had number 5, Logan Lee. Number 4, Will Howard. Number 3, YA Black. Number 2, Rock Taylor. And me, number 1. This list is brought to you by... Huh?
I have a feeling I'm going to laugh at this because I bet it's something I considered and threw out. So I'm going to see who you say.
This one's brought to you by the color black and gold, and it's not the Steelers. This is my 3rd Iowa Hawkeye that I have on the list, and that is undrafted free agent safety Sebastian Castro.
I considered him.
I've got him number 1 because you want to know why? He's got the path to make it. The Steelers, when it comes to safety, we're still not sure how they're going to work everything because of the excess in corners and now the lack of safety after the trade, what they have in mind for all their players that they do have. And I think if he starts to show anything, Steelers fans are going to be talking about him like crazy and be like, this is the guy, this is the reason that they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick or stuff like that they think that he could be that much of an answer. I'm not saying they're right, but I think you're going to hear that out there. If you start seeing his name, oh my goodness, if he picks off a pass in the first weekend by the end of the first weekend of training camp, oh my goodness, it'll go crazy.
I really, really considered him. I did. So I'm not surprised you had him on there. Maybe a little surprised you had him ranked up as high as you did, because part of the reason I did my rankings, I tried to do it by the chance. The higher up my list they were, the better chance I felt they potentially had of making it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's and to me, mine's about how much are Steelers fans going to go crazy talking about this player. And I like your choice of YA Black. I have him 3rd on there for a reason. But honestly, I'll tell you, your top 3 guys, I think, are all making the team. Like, I have all 3 of them on my 53-man roster. All 3 of them. Just so far. So let's just see what they can do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing for you to choose them. I'm just saying those were all guys that I have making the team.
I'm not sold you see all 3 of those.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting when I look at my list of 5, the only one that I didn't have making the team is Rock Taylor. But I had him high on my list because I've already heard so much from Steelers Nation about him already. I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of it. And that's why I think he's going to be up there. So yeah, but I thought of Carson Bruner. Like I said, I dismissed Jack Sawyer. I didn't go any other wide receiver other than Rock Taylor because I had him so high. When we talked about other players, anyone else you considered that neither of us had? I had one more.
Hold on. I will have to peek. I think I might have had.
I'll go ahead and say mine. I considered Dante Kent, but the reason that I didn't put him out there is because of that massive log jam at cornerback.
He was the other one I was looking at as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there we go.
But
There
I
are our
thought
top
the same-
five.
I thought the same thing. He's in a crowded room.
Yes.
Tougher to
He's in a
get
crowd.
noticed and make, a little bit more difficult to make enough noise in a room that's
That
super
crowded.
crowded.
Where
Or not
compared
just
to
crowded,
Sebastian.
but honestly,
Yeah.
you look at the quarterback room. Not just that there's plenty of guys there, but there's some really, really good talent there.
And compared to Sebastian Castro, who right now is not in a crowded room.
Correct.
So that's why that's what I think.
Yep.
That's why I went with that. So Rich, all right, it's my week for 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk. Are we ready for it? Before we get to our big question, we have to decide exactly how long we're doing this into the off season. Probably, we'll probably do
we'll
it up
see.
until the regular season starts.
Well,
We'll see.
some of it. Well, some of it will depend on what's going on.
On what's
It
going on.
could from tonight, anything moving forward with it, we're going to deal with it week to week.
Yeah. Oh, and here we go. To sum this up, this is a great way to say it. This is from Kathy Ford. By the end of next week, lists might be very different.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the key. We're trying to pull it off now on the eve of when players report. My goodness, there's a chance some of these, someone on one of our lists might not even be on the Steelers by the end of next week. That is still possible. That happened. That's happened before. So, all right, here we go. Here's my five minutes of non-Steelers talk. Today we got the news of the passing of Ozzy Osbourne. I still think about, what is it? What is it from that they said that they had to do or Ozzy wouldn't go on stage?
I had to find 1,000 brown M&Ms, or Aussie wouldn't go on stage.
I knew it was brown M&Ms. I was going to get the number wrong, is what it was. Because then it comes, and I had to beat them to death with their own shoes. So I always think about, when I hear Ozzy Osbourne, I think about that. So that was a big one. But I also wanted to talk, before I even heard that news today, I'd already thought about our 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk that I was going to bring up, is because yesterday was the unfortunate passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And as Bad was saying, that was a big part of our childhood. And I mean, because, that's what the Cosby Show was, a big part of our childhood. And what I wanted to ask you is how many, if you're like me, do you have a lot of I know, like, you can't find the Cosby Show on TV anymore now because of everything that's happened with, that aside, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a good TV show back in the day. I don't want to just gloss over that and the kind of stuff that went on and how terrible it was. But yet that TV show was a big part of our childhood. How many different things, and even if you can especially bring up specifically with Theo Huxtable, on the late Malcolm Jamal Warner, how many of those things do you still sometimes find yourself referencing in everyday life?
Gordon Guttrell.
I didn't. Same here. When she made him the shirt that was supposed to be by the designer Gordon Guttrell, which was funny because I think that was the name of one of the producers of the show, or someone that had something to do with the show. That's how that was brought in there. And Denise made him the shirt with one sleeve way too long and the other one way. It was just the collar huge on one side and basically non-existent on the other. I always think of that of that. Another one for me, like Gordon Guttrell was the one I thought of first, but the other one is the bacon burger dog.
Okay, that was the other one I was going to say. But believe it or not, I referenced this show just last week. Last week? Yeah, it was last week. And it was something, I don't know if it was Alex was here or Kyle or something they were talking about. I mean, it was Kyle and was talking about, stuff they were doing with their money, and I referenced, and I was like, that's great, but you haven't eaten yet. The one where they're making Theo pay for all the stuff.
I've been thinking about that episode ever since I
actually
heard about that yesterday. That the one where Rudy was the
banker lady.
property manager or the bank
Yep.
manager or something like that, where she was everything. It was that was a pretty good one. I remember the first time he went to shave, and Theo went to shave, and he had the shaving cream so much on and dripping. I also remember the other one when he went to shave his head. Because where Cockroach shaved his head because
Right.
they needed to shave their head in order to be backup dancers in a music video.
The other one I always remember is the Thanksgiving and teaching Theo to carve the turkey with the first you do it. You know, they had to do it with the weird voice. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So I mean, because that was, and honestly, I mean, the show was on for I don't know how many seasons, I can't remember, but it was. I mean, you could only keep doing so much. It was way better at the beginning, as usually happens with most TV shows. That's one thing that I really like about Big Bang Theory. I liked it more as it went on, and they added a couple of the more characters that they had. But no, it was much better. You know, at the end when they had like Cousin Pam and stuff like that. But do you remember what was the final episode of The Cosby Show? What was the premise of it?
Oh man, I'm not sure I remember. I
It
don't.
was that Theo
top of my
was
head.
graduating college.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Afton says it was on 8 seasons. But yeah. And I remember when they went to prom, one of his friends that was there to go to prom was played by Adam Sandler.
Yep, I remember that.
So
Oh, and don't forget the episode where with V&V moving
oh yeah, there was Vitale and
and
Jim
Valvano.
Valvano.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That was pretty good. I remember the one where he went. He was going. It was to buy. I'm pretty sure it was Theo was with him. He was going to buy a car, and he
the
went
car.
in all in sweats and a sweatshirt and everything. And it was Sinbad that was the car salesman. And then it was Gilbert Gottfried that goes running up, Dr. Huxtable, Dr. Huxtable, how's your wife, the lawyer? You know, and everything. Where he was trying to act like he couldn't afford it, you know, trying to get the best deal. Yeah, there was a lot of good interesting moments. But one thing here before we're almost done. I also remember Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was in a music video that I reference this song all the time, pretty much anytime my youngest son asks for dessert. Do you know what music video
No, I
he
did
was
not.
in?
No.
He was in the video of I'm the Magnificent by Special Ed.
Was he really?
Yes, he
Funny
was.
because I listened to that song coming home from work yesterday. Huh. Now you're going to make me go back and look at that. See, I just always remember him hosting Friday night videos with Sinbad. Now I'm going to have to go back and check out that video. You say he was in the video, Special Ed's on the Magnificent. Interesting.
So that's the end of our time because anytime my son asks for a cookie, I have to go on with that. Afton says he won a Grammy. Malcolm Jamal Warner? If that's the case,
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
yeah. So I just remember him from that music video. So, all right, bro. So we're good there.
Good there.
We've got our lists. We've covered the news. Other than saying how excited we are for tomorrow, which I'm sure you'll get to in your final thoughts, all we have left is our big question, and everyone should be ready for this one. The answer for yours is YA Black or Ya Black or
Hey
whatever
Ya.
it was.
Hey, y'all black.
Hey Ya Black. Mine was Sebastian Castro. I've already got it out there. Who is your camp darling? Remember, they can't be a day one or day two draft pick. Who or someone who started or played a ton last year. Who is your camp darling for 2025? So first up, should have realized she was ready to go.
Yep.
Afton Ford says Sebastian Castro. She had said there earlier whenever I said that was mine. She's like, you took mine. Okay. But Mama says, Kathy Ford says Will Howard. Which is ironically the first two ones we get were ones that weren't on your list, but that's okay. So if you people go ahead and drop those in there while to give people some time, because one thing we have noticed since we had to make the change to Riverside is that sometimes when people are watching, it is lagging behind where we're here. So it takes a little bit more time for these to come through. So I'm going to try. I forgot to do it to get that out there even sooner in the live chat. So people were ready for it. Oh my goodness. That's an interesting one. So I'll go ahead and bring a couple up. Okay. Brian Brown has Sapphire from the Beehive. I'm sorry. With that one, there's been too much action there previously.
I can't remember if I've told everybody here that Kyle actually named his Jeep Wrangler Sapphire.
I knew that, but I don't know that you've ever said it on the show.
And he said it's because in the summertime she runs around town with her top off.
Yeah. So much for a family show now, but yeah. So that's why I did it. It also helps that it's blue. Here you go. And then we got people that still don't understand the criteria. Like Jamie Carlo says, Robin Wilson, I hope, doesn't count. Third round draft pick.
Draft pick.
Okay. So you got to remember that.
Otherwise, he'd have been at the top of my list.
Yeah, he'd have been on mine too. Yeah. BF Bud says Will Howard. That's a good one. Pittsburgh Toddy. Nope, doesn't work. Caleb Johnson, third round draft pick.
Yeah.
That's, remember, Camp Darling has to be someone who's not high profile. So it can't be, okay, once again, see, Eric Weidman says or Weidman, I say it's Weidman, said Caleb Johnson as well. Doesn't fit the criteria. Can't be a day one or day two draft pick. Here you go. Nathan Smith says Captain Jack. That would be Jack Sawyer. There you get someone on your list that wasn't on mine.
Yeah, that's right.
So here we go. Let's see. I'll bring it up even though technically it doesn't count. Tyler W says KJ. Nope. Can't count.
They can be your camp phenom,
Third,
but not
he was
camp,
the second
camp
player they
Darling.
took in the draft. Third round draft pick. No.
They're not.
No.
But I get why people are getting our criteria.
Oh, I know. I understand being excited about them, but that's not what a camp darling is. A camp darling is that person that isn't the high profile player. I mean, there's a lot of people want to see what Caleb Johnson's doing, but there's no chance of him not making this team.
Yeah. I expect players through the third round to be very high pedigree. I have very high expectations of those players.
Exactly.
Once you get out of round 3, you're by the time you get to round 4, you're getting into coin flip territory, honestly.
See, to me, I think 5 is really when it kicks in. But
yes,
I gave a bit of a gift to allow round 4.
I don't know if you remember, but we talked about and decided we could go with round 4 because we went back through and looked at round 4 guys and decided that it was about 50-50.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, it's funny because I used to like how this was different, and I think someone complained, and now it's not, and my screen keeps skipping on me. But see, there we go. I've had to scroll back up to try to get the next one 4 times. So, Rich, you got to be quiet. Let me bring this up. TD Tom Tessenberger, he says Will Howard. Okay. Then we've got John Walter, Jaggy15, says Jack Sawyer. Okay. Andre Green says Will Howard. This is interesting. coaches don't count, but this is interesting. The Blue Note said Coach Alexander. That's the
He's been
secondary
talking about
coach.
it here and there throughout
Yeah.
the night on the live chat, how he really thinks, Coach Alexander has
Yeah.
a chance to make to coach these
I
guys
was-
in and have a big impact.
I was going to talk about him Thursday on the preview, but we ended up TJ Watt ended up signing his contract. We ended up doing a different title because there was a topic because that was something that I was going to be mentioning. Okay, now I'm trying to get back to where I was. We said Coach Alexander. Valley Ford says Yaya Black the way it was. I can't figure out how to spell his name either. Here we go. Now Jamie Carlo says, yeah, they're going with Black because all these people. Here was one that I thought could have maybe been brought up, but wasn't. And once again, I'm having fits with actually getting these up on the screen. For those of you in audio form, you don't really care. But JJ Galbraith as a tight end, that was one. The fullback, the hyphenated guy. I thought, I considered him as well, but there. Do you see any more of people saying it? Oh, here we go. Tyler W says, now we'll say Keyshawn Williams. That was an undrafted free agent from Indiana. So that's an interesting one. Some other discussion going on. If I see any more, I'll try to bring them up. Make sure you're here for all of our shows, all of our podcasts. They're going to be coming this week. The big thing is be at steelcurtnetwork.com. We're going to be giving you lots of content. We even have coming up sometime soon a worthless 2 cents from Big Bro Scho. That's how much content we're kicking it into now.
For the record, I don't mind. I'll tattle on myself for the record. I wrote that story while Kyle was in having surgery on his wisdom teeth today.
I knew that. Just because I knew what was going on. But no, that was a good time to do it, bro. So we'll have that. I'm going to have trackers. We'll have a tracker tomorrow of Steelers arriving to Latrobe. We'll have trackers on practice every day they have practice. I'll have players mentioned whenever Coach Tomlin speaks, which is almost every day. We're going to have lots of coverage, lots of breakdown. I'm not even sure what everyone else is doing. Okay, so but make sure you check that out. Rich, what do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
All right. I still don't have a set time or know exactly if or when I'm going up to training camp. Chances are it's going to be next week. Just don't know what day. But I'm hoping we can make that happen next week. Could maybe push to the week after, not sure. But training camp's going to be happening. That's all I can say is I'm so excited. Time to get them in, time to get going. Get the pads on, start to figure some things out, get into preseason games, get rolling. But you can't get to any of that until we get to tomorrow, where we start getting the videos of the guys rolling in and bringing their luggage and this and that all up at Latrobe. For me, can't wait.
Relax.
Feel